Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by Legacy FC heavyweight Jared Rosholt. Jared, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Jared, you got a fight coming up August 17th at Legacy 13. How's training been going for the fight?
It's been going awesome. It's the best training camp I've had so far, and couldn't feel any better, I don't think.
In 2011, you had, 3 fights, well, 4 fights in total, but 3 fights back to back to back. How good has it been to have like a full training camp now?
It's been nice, but I really didn't mind the back to back to back. I get done with one training camp and I'm still in shape and still ready to go. Still got the mentality that I'm ready to fight. So it wasn't bad doing it that way, but it is nice to have a full camp. I guess they both have their pros and cons.
Now, when you're training, the guys that you have in your camp, your brother Jake, Johnny Hendricks, Shane Roller, all these guys, all good guys, all good fighters, but none of them are heavyweights. Have you brought in heavyweights to train with, or have you gone somewhere else? How do you train when you're having to train for heavyweights?
We do a little bit of moving around the Dallas-Fort Worth area to different gyms to meet with different heavyweights and stuff. Lately I've been twice a week going to Dallas and working out with a guy that was wrestling on the world team for freestyle wrestling. So he was good for the takedowns, and his punching was similar to what I'll probably see in my next fight. So he's been good. And then we flew in Carmelo Marrero and had him out here for a week working out, which was really good training. He's a really good training partner, and he's also kind of got that coaching style to him. So he was really good about helping me develop too. And I guess the good thing about these smaller guys around here is they're fast. So and they're I would rather roll on the ground with the big guy than I would on a small guy. The small guys are hard to hold on to. Mm-hmm. So I think the training with them just as good for the most part. But you gotta have the big body deal, and I've been getting that too. So I think it's been going good, good training, good training partners.
Now you're going to be fighting Derek Lewis. What are your thoughts about him as an opponent?
Whenever I heard that I might fight him, I immediately looked him up, and watched every fight that I could find on him, and I said it was perfect. I said, let's do it. I think he's a striker. I don't think it's anything crazy striker, but I think it's perfect for me to work my hands a little bit on, and I've seen this fight with guys that do take him down, so it was just a good fight for me to get back into the groove of things. I think, I'm not going to overlook him or anything like that, but I plan on doing work out there.
You mentioned he's a striker. Not to reveal your game plan or anything, but do you feel that your best chance of getting a win is, to take him down and, work the ground?
I don't really think either way it's not going to matter too much. I don't think, in my opinion. I think I can stand with him and do well too. But, one of my striking coach said, he said, well, go out there and work your hands, I'd like to see you go around or whatever, but just stand up. Well, if I don't have to get hit, then I'm not going to. I think it's good to go out there and trade blows. And I'm not afraid to get hit or to hit somebody, but, if I can go out there and put somebody down and just beat the hell out of them, then, why not just do that? And that's my strength, I think a lot of wrestlers get caught up in I'm gonna, be a slick striker. You gotta remember what got you there too. So, that's kind of just gonna go by feel. I've played it out in my head many times. It's gonna happen, and I'm ready for it to go. Anything to happen out there, and if it comes down to striking, then I'll strike too.
This fight is going to be for the Legacy FC heavyweight title. It's going to be 5 rounds. Conditioning-wise, have you changed up training, or have you just done the same stuff, only, a little bit more? Because, should the fight go 5 rounds, that's a long time, longer than you're used to. And I'm pretty sure that the majority of your fights have all ended in the first round. So have you done anything new conditioning-wise?
Yeah, I've been doing, usually I was doing 3 or 4 rounds of sparring every time we sparred anyway. So, but now I'm doing 5 rounds for sure, all 5, and then last week and this week I've been doing 5 rounds of fight simulation conditioning, and then doing light sparring afterwards. So I'm doing 8 rounds, of going hard and flowing through it pretty good, So I know that, for heavyweights, if you can get yourself into that kind of shape, that really good shape, that's a huge bonus for you. And I'm not against working hard, to get to that point. So,
is this going to be the main event? Because I've seen some things out on the internet where there's a flyweight title fight. That's going to be the main event. Now that fight's off, and this is the co-main event. What exactly is this fight going to be? The main event? Do you know?
Yeah, it's the main event fight.
Mm-hmm. And
it's it's a very last fight.
Mm-hmm. And how many fights do you have with Legacy?
I have 0. I have yet to fight for him.
Oh, no. I'm saying on your deal that you got. This is going to be your first fight, but how many fights are you signed on for?
Oh, okay. I'm signed up for 3 right now, so we're, everybody wants to go to the UFC, and we looked into other fight places like Bellator. We talked to them, they flew in and everything, and it's, Legacy just sounded good, and they understand that guys want to get to the UFC. They don't want to sign, contracts for years,
Mm-hmm.
So, just a 3-fight with them, and who knows, we might end up signing another one afterwards. There's a good chance of that.
Now, this will be your first fight of 2012. Why is such a long gap? Because you had all those fights that were summer of 2011, and then you had a big gap where you were off for the end of that year and in the beginning of this year. Why the long gap?
After I fought, we hadn't really had much for striking coach since I moved to Texas, and all those other guys moved from Vegas to Texas. We got a striking coach, and they really wanted me to, just focus on my hands and work on my striking, and so we decided to work with the guy after we signed him on, and then when I was pretty much ready to go, I ended up tearing my knee, tearing a little bit of meniscus and stuff in my knee, and had that worked on. So that had me sitting out for a while, and then we wanted to have the surgery on, just get it cleaned up and everything, and but I also thought there was supposed to be some big tournament, MMA tournament going on in Vegas, starting, and it was supposed to be like December or January. And of course, we were like, I wanted to be in that tournament. I wanted to fight in, and it was going to be a really good tournament for me. And it ended up getting pushed back, and then finally I said, forget it. Let's just get this thing cleaned up and get it healthy and move on. So it's just, been waiting and waiting. We should have just got it cleaned up and fixed earlier and got right back to fighting, but you're just not. We were waiting for that tournament to start, and it just never happened.
Jared, one thing that I wanted to ask you was, your brother, he's been doing MMA for a while now, and when you were doing your college wrestling, he was fighting pro MMA. During your last couple of years when you were at Oklahoma State, during the off season, were you training MMA, or when you graduated and you were done, that's when you started?
No, I didn't do any training really. It was relatively new to me until Jake started doing it. Until he started fighting UFC and stuff, I didn't really pay attention too much to it until then. And then I just really got into it, but it took till my senior year before I really started paying attention to it a lot, and really getting into it. And I didn't start training until July
much has Jake helped you, make the transition from wrestler to fighter now?
He's helped me a lot. All these guys are elite wrestlers and are really good wrestlers. So I got advice from everybody. It wasn't just him helping me. I mean, Shane Roller helped me. I got Johnny Hendricks helping me. Guys that are national champion wrestlers helping me with the transition. Everybody's got their own style, and so they can all give me their input, and I can try all these different things and see which one fits me best. But me and Jake are kind of somewhat built and wired the same, being brothers. So a lot of his stuff does seem to work better for me. But yeah, he definitely has helped me a lot.
Do you think you're ahead of the curve of these guys who are transitioning from wrestling to MMA because you have your brother who's in the sport and you have all these other guys that you know from wrestling? Do you think you're ahead of the curve in that aspect?
Yeah, I think so. I just can't think of anybody that would be ahead of me right now. And there were good athletes, heavyweights in college wrestling and stuff, but I feel like I would be better than them at this. And this just fits me. This is my thing. This is what when I started doing it, it clicked. It was like, this is what I should be doing. This is me.
Do you cut to make heavyweight, or do you walk below 265?
I don't have to do much cutting. By the end of the week, my weight drops pretty good. But I'll have to be careful whenever it comes around weighing time. I can't just go out and eat whenever I want and go in there blind and be like, oh, there's no way I'll be over 265. I can't do that. But it's not like I'm not on a huge diet or nothing, or cutting 10 pounds. Not like that.
Jared, what has been the hardest transition and easiest transition from going from college wrestler to MMA fighter?
The hardest transition from being a college wrestler is probably the boxing. Boxing's been the hardest transition, and I think it's just what makes it so hard is in wrestling you're always hunched over. You're always going forward. You're grabbing and pulling all the time. It's a constant grind of pulling and head position. In the boxing, you're standing a little more straight up. And you're pushing out all the time. You're hitting out, and turning your hips. When I started boxing, when you grow up watching Rocky or whatever, you never think of, you just don't realize you got to turn your hips over. There's so much more to it than what it looks like. And that's probably been the hardest thing, but it's also been one of the funnest things because it's such a challenge to try and get better at it. That's very interesting to me. And then the easiest thing would probably be the jiu-jitsu's come pretty easy. It's just it kind of walks hand in hand with wrestling. A lot of jiu-jitsu guys, even when I first started, the first week I was rolling with these guys that have been doing it for years. Right afterward, I didn't really have much knowledge of the sport or much technique, but they'd say, geez, you must have used to be a wrestler or something, right? I said, yeah. They say, yeah, because your hips are really good. You're so used to using your hips in wrestling and balancing, controlling people with your hips that it's made my jiu-jitsu game really pretty good, And I feel 100% comfortable in jiu-jitsu, getting put in chokes and stuff. I don't panic or anything like that. I can put people in them. I transition very well. I really love jiu-jitsu. It's great.
Jared, final question. Prediction for the fight on August 17th.
My prediction for the fight is it's probably going to be get stopped either by TKO, cut, or tap out. Either one of them. I can see it going a lot of ways. It just depends on how long it lasts. I think the longer it lasts, the more chance he's probably going to get stopped or cut, or else I think I'll catch him in something pretty quick with the hold.
Jared, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you would like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
Yeah, I would like to thank a few guys. Amity was one of my sponsors. VIP mouth guards and Metroflex Gym. Just want to thank them for this fight. For all the people listening and would like to get to know me better, you can follow me on Twitter at Jared Rosholt and my team at Team Takedown. So that's about it.
Jared, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it. Good luck August 17th at Legacy 13 against Derek Lewis.
All right. Thank you, guys.